We're looking at the Cobra surveillance port.
Imagine this. Look, it's the Cobra surveillance port. And that's an Android trooper. And those are Cobra Vipers. Plus one of Joe's.
And that's the law, G.I. Joe's high-tech defense post.
That's Dial Tone.
And at the outpost defender, that's Leatherneck. Live the adventure of G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe, Outpost Defender, the law, and Cobra Surveillance Port. G.I. Joe and Cobra figures each sold separately.
Joe!
Welcome to Dave C, straight from the pit. Dave C here. I thought for today's show we could talk about the 1986 Cobra Viper. And he's kind of an interesting character and figure because he replaced one of my favorite Cobra figures, the 1982 Cobra Soldier and Cobra Officer. It's kind of interesting because when Larry created this character in 1986, along with Ron Rudat, Larry wrote in the bio that this was simply a new uniform for this character, and it wasn't that the Vipers were necessarily better than the old Cobra Officer and Cobra Soldier from '82, but that they are just the fact that they got kind of a uniform update, maybe more modern technology with maybe a better gun, more modern assault rifle, and yeah, so let's get into it. 1986 was a little bit of a different year for G.I. Joe, and I remember it as a kid vividly because it went a little bit more sci-fi. There were characters like Serpentor that came along that were very science fiction orientated, and there was the Battle Android Trooper that was more of a kind of a science fiction type story figure. And there was these guys that seemed at the time to replace the blue shirts, the old Cobra Officer and Cobra Soldier, like I talked about in the intro there. And here is a 1982 Cobra Soldier. Back then they just called him Cobra, of course. And here is the 1986 Cobra Viper. My friend Joe has a card back of the Cobra Viper, so that's pretty cool. All I have for this video is from the 3D Joe's book, the book of art. And yeah, so it's Hector Greedo art, as you can see, very nicely drawn. And he came with a backpack and the RDT-7 assault rifle, and it has a grenade launcher on the bottom. And here's a closer look at the figure. I really like that they went with the red and the blue back then, because it wasn't too much different than the blue and black of the original guys. And the Cobra logo on the chest was excellent. Yeah, so I mean, everyone's going to have their take on this guy, because if you're a little bit younger, this guy might have been your first Cobra troop. And if you're older, like me, and had the original 82, then this guy might seem kind of a little bit goofy, just because he doesn't really have a face. He's wearing a helmet. And when it first came out, I was like, how come this Cobra guy has Cobra Commander's face mask? Because it kind of looks like Cobra Commander a bit, like the helmet. And I remember making up in my head that the new Cobras, infantry guys, maybe they were all given the Cobra Commander helmet technology that was kind of sophisticated for the time. Had like infrared scanners inside, and it was bulletproof and shrapnel proof and all those things. And maybe yeah, this helmet was given to every Cobra troop. That's kind of what I thought. And I thought, like, how powerful is that? Because now you have an army of guys that have the Cobra Commander helmet that in the cartoons and in the comic was always kind of a crafty kind of thing that Cobra Commander was using. Whether it was like it heated up, or it shot like smoke out of it, or poison gas, or what have you, it was always kind of a weapon for Cobra Commander. And when I finally saw one at the mall, I remember thinking, this guy looks a little bit pudgy. Like he I don't know, just looks a little bit chunky, or maybe it was his big puffy red gloves, or I don't know. I just I didn't really want one, and so for the longest time, I didn't have one of these. Just because when I thought of the Cobra Infantry and the guys that were on the ground fighting, I thought of these, and I already had some of these, so that's what I was using in battle. And not until late 1986 did I get one. And I think the thing that I really liked about it when I actually got one was the gun. And there it is there. It's kind of like a modern weapon compared to the old AK-47 and Dragunov that the older guys were given. This was more like an AR-15 or a Colt or assault rifle. And it has a grenade launcher on the bottom, so it's kind of cool. And I remember looking at the backpack back then and seeing the Cobra logo on it. Back then I would study every little thing about it, just like they were models, because the detail on these things was just incredible. And as you can see there is the Cobra logo. And it reminded me of the Baroness's backpack. And also that year, Dr. Mindbender, he came out and he had the Cobra logo on his cape. But yeah, it's got the logo, it's got 2 grenades, it's got a canteen, and a mag pouch there. The rucksack closure. And now we can look at the back of the figure. And he's got the black and the red and the blue. Not the best lighting down here today in the pit. One of my bulbs went out, so I'm kind of using some of my LED lights off in the distance to light things. He's got a Cobra logo on his belt. Remember, that was pretty cool. Yeah, there's the back of the figure. It's got the goggle straps coming around the back. That was one of the things I remember thinking about too back then, is that the back of the helmet had this interesting computerized little thing on the back, which made me think that it was Cobra Commander's helmet. And yeah, there's the goggles on the top. And there's his file card that came on the back of the card, of course. This is a Canadian version, and the print on it is so tiny, I can barely read it. It's got French on as well, so they kind of condensed it. And yeah, it's just a lot of little words, because as you can see down there on the bottom, it's in French as well. So I think what I'll do is the text for the 1986 Order of Battle, the Marvel alphabetical Cobra book, it has the exact text on it, and it might be easier for me to read off of this. So I'll read you the file card from here. Vipers are the backbone of the Cobra Legions. They are highly motivated, superbly trained, and formidably equipped. All Vipers are issued a combination assault rifle grenade launcher, the rifle part of which can function as a short burst assault weapon, a sustained fire cover support weapon, or a long-range sniper rifle, with an advanced light night vision telescope sight with built-in rangefinder. Multi-layer body armor, composite helmets with built-in combo gear are standard issue. So yeah, that's that helmet that I was talking about that I thought, might have been Cobra Commander's helmet. Maybe it is. Maybe they just never told anybody, and I don't know. Maybe they just didn't put it on the file card. But this is the file card, and the rest of the file card says, if you want to get anywhere in Cobra, you have to start out as a Viper. That's the bottom of the pyramid, and serving in the Cobra Infantry is a small price to pay to gain access to the glittering prizes at the top. Cobra doesn't reward success with parades and medals, They offer material wealth, power, and an outlet for the terrible urges that drive the greedy, the envious, and the cruel. If that doesn't make a Viper a dangerous opponent, nothing does. Yeah, this comic book was one of the first times I saw the Viper appear in any Marvel book. It might be the first one. It's from February 87. I'm sure there's a couple other scenes with him in it from 86, because he was an 86 guy. But I didn't dig through my books to look. But yeah, that book I really enjoyed as a kid because it alphabetically goes through all the Cobras. And I'm sure you guys out there already know all that, and probably already have one. Mark Bellamo has a nice write-up in his Ultimate Guide to G.I. Joe, 82 to 94 book. And on page 118, there is a look at the Cobra Viper, and it says Cobra Infantry includes field pack, RDT-7 assault rifle with grenade launcher. And the write-up says, the Cobra Vipers, although not the original Cobra Troopers, See the Enemy, Cobra Soldier 1982, quickly became the most popular standard trooper in the Cobra Legions. A note on the communique Larry Hama sent to Hasbro stated, the Vipers can be the generic term for all Cobra Troopers, Televipers being the comm specialists, Hiss Vipers being attached to the armored branch, Air Vipers to flight ops, etc. Mr. Hama further stated that he made no distinction in the Marvel comic book between standard Cobra soldiers, the Enemy, 1982, and Cobra Vipers. So that's interesting, because that's kind of what I was talking about at the beginning, where there's no distinction between this guy and this guy. Just that the guy on the left was first. And yeah, so, I mean, both of them start out at the bottom. That's what Larry said in the Pyramid of Cobra. So, yeah, and in the IDW and Image books, the latest A Real American Hero continuation, there's still Cobra soldiers and officers dressed in the blue shirt. And then there's also Vipers, there's Night Vipers, Televipers, Alley Vipers, you know, all those guys. But yeah, so it's kind of like the earlier family of the Cobra Soldier and Viper. And of course, in 1989, Python Patrol came out, and there was a Python Viper version painted in the Python Patrol colors, and there he is, and he came with the same armaments, the same rifle, and the same backpack. And I'd like to get him. I'm missing him, so hopefully coming up I can grab one of him. They're getting really expensive now, these Python Patrol guys. Just like the, just like everything in this book that is G.I. Joe from the 1980s, because it was so much fun back then, and everybody knows how great it was. It's not a secret anymore. As I mentioned earlier, the Cobra Viper appeared in the Marvel run, and they also appeared in the somewhat animated series with Serpentor, and it was called Arise Serpentor Arise. So yeah, that was the first cartoon series where we kind of saw these guys instead of the old blue shirts. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Looking forward to doing many, many more 1980s G.I. Joe videos in the future. And yeah, looking forward to Christmas this year. And thinking of some things I might want to get to add to the collection. And Shane as well. He's excited about getting some Joes this year. Yeah, it's going to be a good year, I think. And just a lot of positive things going on right now. And yeah, so looking forward to it. So until the next video, have a good one. Yo, Joe.
Imagine this!
Deep in the jungle, you discover at the Cobra Terradrome with gun emplacements almost everywhere and special base for refueling vehicles.
There it is!
The Cobra Terradrome is really incredible.
That's Dr. Mindbender! And now look! They've captured Flynn!
It's time to warn the Joes, but suddenly they launch the Fire Bat. Live the adventure of G.I. Joe. Cobra Terradrome comes with Firebat and Pilot. Other figures and equipment sold separately.
Joe! Joe!